Hi, my name's Cory Mayo, licensed realtor with Monument Sotheby's, and welcome to Who's in the House, your podcast for everything coastal Delaware. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you're updated every time I upload new podcasts or videos. And if at any time you have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse.de as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text 302-466-5511. Now sit back and enjoy this episode of Who's in the House. So you guys came to market last year?
Last year, our first deadline was July, and so the first magazine was September. So late last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you were in Baltimore originally, still are.
Yep.
So you expanded into coastal Delaware.
Yep.
By demand.
which is awesome. We love the demand.
People were like, "We need this." It's like, okay.
It is. I think it's been it's been a great tool. I think especially for realtors in general, and it's nice to be able to look at your name on a list and be able to say, look, I'm one of the top agents, whether you're in the top 10 or the top 300. I forget what the final number is. In Sussex County, we're probably 1,600 agents or something.
Actually, that's about dead on. I think when we pulled the numbers 2 years ago, it was like 3,000 agents out of Sussex, Worcester, Wacomico.
Okay.
And I think, about 1,600 was it's Sussex.
Yeah, so, almost half of it's just Sussex County. Mm-hmm. And of that, if you break up Sussex County, I'm going to just throw a dart here and guess probably half of that's on in this coastal area.
Yes.
Because the majority of our population is here, and the vast majority of our sales are happening here because the majority of homes are here. Exactly. So it's nice to be able to say, hey, look, and not even in that list. It's when you're on that list, it's not just the coastal Delaware area. It's all those areas that you just mentioned. Worcester, where else?
And Wacomico. So those three counties: Worcester, Wacomico, Sussex County.
And so obviously coastal Delaware is Delaware. That's easy. Worcester is Maryland?
Yep, Maryland, and then Wacomico is Maryland.
Okay, so
it's like two counties in Maryland, one in Sussex. But like you said, half of our distribution is just Sussex.
Yeah.
I think it was 55%.
Yeah. And then in your Baltimore publication, is that reaching all of the Baltimore, just the city, or what's kind of your reach there?
City and the 5 counties that surround it. So Hartford, Howard, Anne Arundel, Carroll, and Baltimore County, and then Baltimore City.
And so people that are watching understand Coastal Real Producers, obviously you guys are the owners of this franchise, correct? Mm-hmm. I guess 2 franchises, or are you kind of...
2.
So 2 franchises, this area, the coastal division, and then the Baltimore division. And the purpose to the publication is really networking between realtors and vendors, and kind of adding this collaboration and networking and meeting. But I found personally, because there's this really good agent who was actually on the cover of the magazine.
Look at that handsome fella.
And look at...
Twinners!
Completely not on purpose. Completely not on purpose to be wearing the same exact outfit. So embarrassing.
You look stunning in it, I'd wear it often.
Absolutely ridiculously embarrassing that I'm wearing the same outfit.
You subconsciously did it on purpose.
I know. I believe it. I truly do. When you guys walked in the door, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm wearing this.
It triggered the memory.
Same exact outfit.
I've seen this blonde walk through this door wearing this exact outfit.
Like lovely. But no, I use it as a tool, with my clients, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one. I'm sure everyone that's on that top list, whether they've been on the cover or whether they've been, highlighted
in the standings, is that what you mean?
Or another feature.
Just another feature.
Yeah, another featured agent, or just in that top 300 standings, I'd be like, hey, look, I'm one of the top agents, in the area. It's good, because there are the vast majority of business is done by a very small percentage of realtors, and not just here, pretty much every market around the globe.
You are correct.
Or at least in the country. So it's nice to have that on paper. You know, and hey, here I am this month versus last month. And it's also nice for agents to be able to look at it and be like, I'm working hard. My hard work for my clients is paying off. Look at me.
Yeah.
and always hoping that I was there or going
Exactly.
up. You're like, oh no, I went down. I gotta
Yeah,
get back to the friends.
78% actually is like the actual stat. 78% of the business done in those 3 counties is done by the top 300. So it's like that's like the number. So like these 300,
78%.
yeah, these top 300 are doing 78% of all the business in the area. Out of
I
like
don't
3,000 or so.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, I think that everyone's doing their thing. I do things obviously a little bit different, including the whole podcast and my and I think that even in the article that you guys did, which again, thank you. I really appreciate just you even being willing to highlight me and put me on the cover. It was a very cool moment for me.
Awesome.
But you have to find your way of doing something that's unique, and I'm sure that there's plenty of agents that are out there. But I think that if you were to look at that, what comprises of that 78% of business, everyone in there is doing, whether it's time in the industry and they've kind of have beaten their own path, and that's why they're doing it, or like myself, I am, in air quotes, newer to the industry in comparison to realtors that have been doing this for 30 years. But I've always been looking for ways of offering a different type of service, especially because our area in particular, majority of people are coming from out of town. They don't live here for a lot of our sales. So, and it's nice when we have, guys like you that are going out there and creating and providing something for realtors to use to show that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, one of our core values is, speaking to the magazine publication specifically, and that's just a small portion of like what the whole community is about.
Yeah.
But it's that we believe everyone has a big life that's worth sharing. And so I think that's what makes us kind of unique is, it kind of blends in a trade magazine with a little personality, because if the readership is other realtors, they kind of know what you do on the day-to-day basis.
Sure.
But what people want to hear is like, what made Cory be here? And how is it that his life has shaped what he's doing today?
Yeah.
And learning more. I think that is one of the biggest things as we've seen as realtors learn about each other, deals become easier.
Yeah.
And so
There's a human behind
yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
It's not just some machine. You're like, oh my goodness, Cory has a daughter with diabetes and she likes to go Irish dancing. And so it kind of makes this bond between the community of the top. And I think that really when I think about what I'm most excited about is coastal real producers in 2 and 3 years.
Yeah.
Because the magic really starts to happen at about year 3. Because everyone's defenses are down a little bit. They get what we're doing. They're not so embarrassed to share their stories. Like they realize, oh, everyone is a little human.
Yeah.
And we
They're not as
have
worried
mistakes.
to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, is to get people to be vulnerable,
Yes.
especially in print.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think was it Hannah?
Yeah.
I think Hannah reached out to me at first, and I'm like, all right, here's another one of
What's
these
the sales pitch?
telemarketing. What do you got going on, and what's this? And so I said, sure, yeah, I'll take a call with you, and what are you selling me? And it's like, no, we're not selling anything, but we're new to the area, and we just had a really awesome organic conversation. And I was like, I want to be part of this. This is like a really cool thing. And I appreciated what you guys were doing. I didn't even know what was going on because obviously I wasn't raised in Baltimore, and I wasn't doing real estate, and I don't do real estate. I focus on coastal Delaware only. So I had no idea. And I'm like, this is super cool. And how can I help? And I don't. You guys have your act together, and you don't need my help. But I was like, if you need it, or if you need to get in touch with people, like I think what you guys were bringing to the area, which at that time was brand new, at least here, I'm like, I saw the benefit to the industry. And I think that it's important, and I think that, probably those 78%, if you talk to them, a lot of them, obviously we do this to make money and provide for our families and put food on the tables, but we're always looking at what is good for the industry, because what's working, helping you also helps me, as far as from agent to agent and brokerage to brokerage, and trying to strengthen the overall market. The stronger the market is, the better service that we can provide to our clients, and ultimately that's the end goal, is having and by you guys also incorporating your model with vendors, that allows agents to have easy access to seeing who some of the top vendors are out there, which allows them to provide better services to their client. Again, it all boils down to the client, which is kind of those pieces, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I think you guys do. That's super important. I think it's a great thing.
Thank you. And I appreciate that you see that vision and that you are such an advocate early on. You said you hadn't directly helped us, but I think you have, because this is a great platform, first of all, so thank you for inviting us on. But even before that, like, I have no doubt that talk track has been in even micro conversations, and you showing up to our event and you put, even though it's like you didn't pay for it, quote unquote, but like agreeing to be featured, all of that builds social proof.
Sure.
And it helps influence other agents who may not quite get it yet, because I love that you have that collaboration mindset and that community mindedness, but there are a lot of agents still out there, and they'll come around. It happened in Baltimore too. There's agents that still don't necessarily see the value. Like, why should I show up to this thing with all these other agents? Or, and it's still new, it's still fresh. And I think people are always resistant to change, whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
So I think just helping people understand that, from the agent perspective, that we have nothing to sell, quote unquote, and we just want to.
And you don't, not to interrupt you, but you don't.
No.
Like, there's no memberships. Mm-mm. There's not, like, you don't pay in order to have your name put on that list. To be
featured is free. Like, you don't pay for the writer, you don't pay for the photographer. Like, all of it's complimentary.
$0.
Yeah.
Like, me being on the cover of the magazine was $0. It was purely, you guys, I guess, saw something and said, we want to highlight you, and that was it. There's no, like, so now that you want to do that,
it's $1,000.
Yes,
the bait and switch.
And there is a lot of that.
Yeah,
like, a ton of that goes on. There's lots of awards that are given, and it's like, so are you going to market with us? Okay, well then maybe next year you won't be.
Exactly.
You won't get that award anymore. I think that's
And agents, like, you talk to agents all the time we call it the feature process. From when they're nominated to finally when it ends up in print. And there's a lot of conversations along the way. And you get agents, I know, that say, like, all right, so what's the catch? Or like, okay, so how much is it going to cost me?
Sure.
Yeah,
totally.
And I've even changed my entire talk track because it is more prevalent, I think, as time goes on, that people are realizing what a valuable community real estate is.
Yeah.
And so people are going to continue to try to get them. So it's really one of the first things I say is, like, you're not going to have to pay for anything. So let's relax and have, like, a conversation. I'm not going to tell you owe me money now for this.
And they probably relax, but still in the back of their head, they're like but there's still going to be that.
There's going to be something.
Yeah. It's kind of like, the software, it's free, but like, hey, if you don't want the watermarks, you have to pay, it's kind of, so where's the catch? And there isn't. The other thing I've found that's really cool is, like myself, I hyper focus in the Lewis, Rehoboth, Millsboro area, but there's times I'll be down. I call it down south. Bethany, like that's so far south. I'll venture down there. No, but I have clients who are looking down there. And now I know who these people are because I'm seeing their names. So when we're submitting offers, I don't know them, but I know of them, which I would have never had kind of the ability to be exposed to who they are and the brokerage that they're with, and kind of, this is a, and I don't mean to say this, as a top performing agent, that means automatically means that you're a good agent, but you must be doing something right if you are on that list. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, I'm expecting there to be, a smoother, transaction that goes on.
Yeah. Versus
someone that does 1 or 2 deals a year, and I've had plenty of those. Sometimes there's questions that I need to help them, get answers to. Which so it's nice to be able to, like, have that kind of open forum to start to be able to, like, know and learn. Yeah. And on top of it, the crazy parties.
Yeah.
And not crazy bad. Like, it's really good events.
Oh, thank you. We love the events. We are very passionate about that. I was going to say, to add on to what you said, it works on the agent side, and I've seen it because I can use Baltimore as a model because we're building that here. It's worked on the vendor side in a sense, like, I've had lenders say to me, like, I know that offer got accepted because I was on the deal. Like, because they were like, the listing agent went, okay, I recognize that lender because they'd never worked together before, but they had told them, they're like, I saw your name because I saw you were part of Real Producers.
Sure.
And that means something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to build, not just with having the top agents putting the best, like you said earlier, vendors, we call them our preferred partners, the local businesses that support this whole platform. And
Yeah.
we mentioned it's free for the agents. And that's only because this is all on the shoulders of our preferred partners who
Yeah.
are funding this whole thing, but are also, it's like, yes, they're paying, but it's not a typical advertising platform because they're all vetted and they've all been personally referred. Like you referred us people, all these agents that we're talking to are where we're sourcing these recommendations for who are the best lenders, title companies, law firms, inspectors, everybody.
It's something I think that people don't realize is any advertiser has to be recommended by 1, 2, 3 of the agents in that market.
Yeah.
Because if we are truly trying to create a community of the best, that's how it'd have to be. And so in a lot of advertising, you're just going to take people who
Money is money.
give you money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when someone, they may see a post about a party online, they're like, oh, let me reach out to this company and I want to advertise with them. And we say, before we even meet with you, you need to go get referrals from these top agents and then come back to us. And then we can start this
We
process
ask for
with you.
references, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, if like Joe Schmo home inspector comes in and says, "Hey, I'm new. I will give you countless money to advertise," and you're like, "But you have no track record. I can't
put our reputation behind."
seal of approval that you're a preferred
Yeah.
partner when there's no track record. So go prove yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you've proved yourself. Awesome. Let's talk." And I think that is it's extremely important. There's builders that I work with that have a similar mentality of money second, which is so rare, I think, in our society. Especially
Very
in
rare.
marketing and sales. It's obviously the whole reason you do things is for money, and it's like, but it doesn't always have to be.
Yeah.
It's just I think one reason why I'm so keen to it is because as part of my model is. I say every client's $1 million client. I don't care if you're buying a $100,000 house or $1 million house. It's, you should be treated the same way no matter what. And, I think that's that mentality of we need to make sure that people are good at what they do. That's critical.
Yeah.
That's what makes things special. And to kind of put 2 points together that you had earlier, one was about the party and the other was about the Irish dance. I apologize. I wasn't at your St. Patrick's Day party.
That's okay.
I really wanted
Are you coming to the next one?
Absolutely.
Oh, good, okay.
So because of the
All
dance,
the way in Ocean City.
my girls they do what's called dance outs, and they dance at like pubs and bars, and so I had Irish dance obligations. But
wait, you did tell me that. I think you personally told me that.
Yeah.
Next time we'll just have to have them come dance.
oh my
that
gosh,
would've
they
been
would.
sweet.
They would love to.
I've watched
We need some
videos. I've seen
entertainment.
it. Your daughter's very good. Were you in Ireland? Where were you?
A lot.
Just recently, in between Scotland.
Scotland was that was the World Championships.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
Amazing.
So we were right, and then in February we were in Ireland, and then back in October we were in Scotland and London. So
It's unreal.
yeah, it's fun, but it's exhausting, and it's but honestly, one thing that's really cool about that and what I do is that I'm able to still work and service with my clients even while we travel. So it kind of one hand scratches the other
right.
or shakes me, whatever. But it's it's fun. But I'm sorry, I really wanted to be
good.
there, and I'm like, should be my event. It's the St. Patrick's Day event, and I'm like, I know there's other St. Patrick's Day ones. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming one. It's a good time, and I know that the majority of people that watch this are buyer seller clients, but I know a lot of realtors, watch it, and they should be reaching out and talking and kind of looking at it, and it's and aspiring if they're not on the top 300, work to be on it, because I think it really is a good thing, and you guys have been. I don't want to say bringing awareness, because it's not awareness out to buyers sellers, but it's just. I don't know. Having that carrot out there.
Yeah.
I think you haven't been aware of each other as a community of people who kind of work in the same industry. It's been interesting for us, starting with Baltimore, our launch party. Everybody came in, but they all stayed in their respective teams and brokerages.
Yeah.
It was very siloed.
Yeah.
No one was dancing. No one was really.
It wasn't like synergized.
You know, and at the end of the event, we were like, is this going to work? Because from our perspective, from throwing parties, like, wow, this felt kind of like very segmented and cold. And then a year later, all it, I think, takes is I read a story, I see somebody online, and then we started to notice, like, oh my goodness, it's such a great deal. And then, you know, the community starts. And so that's why I say, like, 2 to 3 years, I want to be back so we can share all the same stories.
Yeah.
That
What's cool is it didn't
talks
take
about-
long in Coastal.
No.
Like the launch party doesn't feel
It's
like
the
that
salt.
at all.
It's the salt
No.
here. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We breed different personalities here. I mean, I do think, you know, in the real estate industry in general, and I don't even mean financially. Sometimes it's brokerage to brokerage or whatever. There's like this. It's kind of like an anchor man where like the different news networks were like getting ready to battle out in the parking lot. You know, that's not like, hey, I'm fighting for my brokerage and I'm fighting for my brokerage. No, who are you with and whatever. And so like all of a sudden you put them in the same room and it's like cat fight. Whereas I think that you guys have done that a great job of like, it's time to break that down. Like we're all on the same team here. And, you know, I say this even in the real estate industry. I mean, we're even competing within agents in our own brokerage because you know, we're 1099 employees and, you know, we're working to get, you know, buyers or sellers and then represent them in buying and selling their home. But in most cases, and I kind of had this aha moment maybe like a year or two ago, the people that are calling me aren't calling other people, and the people that are calling them aren't calling me. So why are we not just fully supporting each other? I do so much, and you know, informal training or discussions that I have with other agents, both in our brokerage and outside of the brokerage. Of you know, I do a lot of new construction, and I'm like, why are you not doing more new construction? You know, we're talking about the lack of inventory. There's all the inventory you want. Pick what house, what you want, the way you want it, and where you want it. It's so much easier. You know, why are you not? And I'm one of the bigger builders, production builders down here. I was their top agent last year by a lot, and so they're having an appreciation program coming up, and they're like, you know, talking about what they're doing. I said, I think, in my personal opinion, this is me. Let's focus on like agent 11 through 50, not the top 10, because the more agents that we're focusing on to sell more make you as a builder stronger, and that helps everyone, you know, be stronger. So don't worry about us. Like we're the top 10 are good. You know, let's explain why more should be, because it makes them stronger agents. They're no longer fighting for as much of, I can't find a house for my client. The client's happier. Everyone's happier. It's a win-win. And they're like, wow, that was kind of cool. It was very like unselfish of you. I'm like, ironically, it is selfish of me because I want them to be as strong as they can be. And I want my other realtors, both in the brokerage and out of the brokerage, to be stronger and succeed, because it just makes especially with everything that's going on, the noise of everything that's going on, supports what we do. You know, and we should all be doing this together because we're not really competing against each other. Those clients that are calling, and they're not going to call me, they're calling them.
Right.
So,
what keeps agents from working more with, like, on new construction and working with builders?
I have no idea. I think, honestly, so I shouldn't say that. I kind of do know. It's kind of like the blanketed statement. So I used to work for a builder down here. I was the director of marketing for like a million years. And I think that information that I found, and then when I left there, I went to work for a marketing firm in Philly to where we work with builders all around. So I've kind of had some blanketed data that I've been working in and being down here doing this. I think a lot of agents in general are very protective of their client, which they should be. Mm-hmm. I think that in general, builders, you know, nationwide, not just here, pardon me, they have kind of gotten some reputations. Some builders are good, some reputations are national, regional, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they're so afraid of letting go of I'm going to use the word power. And I don't mean power, but of handing that client off to a builder and then hoping, fingers crossed, that they're going to take good care of them. And they're so used to, like, I need to like sit there with my shield and my sword and protect my client through every step of the process, which they need to be there through every step of the process. That's what we're, you know, kind of saying. That's why we're representing our buyers on the build side. Not all builders are created equal. You know, I have kind of built my business around making sure that my clients know that when I take them somewhere, that they are going to get the same type of service that I provide. It's super important to me. Or if they insist upon going to a builder that I feel is not that, of spending, till them blue in the face, of setting expectations.
Yeah.
So that way they're not disappointed.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they're not going to communicate quickly. These are areas that we need to worry about in pitfalls. We need to make sure that we have home inspections. And if a home inspection is important, this builder may not allow it. You need to know that up front. So I think that sometimes there's that. I think also it's just decade after decade of, realtors help buy and sell homes, resell homes.
Yeah.
I just, it's
just entrenched.
they don't spend the time to understand the process. They don't spend the time to be educated on communities. They see a sign that says, starting at $400,000, and they have a budget client where that's in the 400, 450 price point, and they go, let's pull in here, and then they do a price out, and it's way over budget, and it's like, well, you should know that's not really. They're marketing companies. They build, but they have a marketing department.
So that number is probably what, with the
500.
base model.
Oh, it's on a lot that's not even, you're not even able to buy. It's a $0 lot premium lot, and it is with every bare bones everything, which there are people that will buy that.
Yeah.
I've had clients.
I'm not lying, but it's
No, but they know that in most cases people put $100,000 to $150,000 in options in their home. So for people that are watching, if you're looking at and every builder's different, but you see that base number, slap on anywhere from 75 to 150, depending on the builder and how much flexibility they have with adding options on. That's going to be your real number. So a realtor does that, and they get stung, and they're like, never do that again.
Yeah.
That was a bad experience. Now my client's mad at me. So the option is you can say, I'm never going to do that again, or
you can learn.
That was a bad experience. How do I make sure that doesn't happen again? So that way I'm not fighting over the limited inventory that we have, because there's, especially not all markets are the same, but down here we have a plethora of communities, home sites, floor plans, options. So that's why my primary focus, much more on the new construction side, and then I do all this video stuff because majority of people are not from the area.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Try to help bring this information to their living room. I just started a new series called People Just Like You, to where I go through a house that's about to close and look at that and go do a walkthrough tour of colors and finishes and options that they pick, because the models are always to the nines.
That's a good idea.
To the nines. It's not realistic. Most people, and they're decorated perfectly and they're decluttered to. That's not real living. No one could go in and live in a model.
Perfectly staged.
Yeah, it's like, where's the coffee pot?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Where's the knives? Oh, they don't have knives in the model, because they're not cooking in there. So
right.
It's I don't want to say it's not deceiving, but this is not real life. So it's like, hey, let's go look at it without all the trim. Let's look at it without the crazy quartz and whatever. These are people, and that's why I call it just like you, that have built a home, and let's go walk. And so here's 3 Monterey's, and this one did it this way, and this one did it this way, and so that way they can.
That's very
That's
cool.
a really cool idea.
So that way,
do you record one already, or you're starting it?
No, so I have. So I used to call it client tours, and so I'm like, I need to actually coin this. So I'd done them sporadically, and I analyze things like crazy. So in December, I went through all of my YouTube videos and saw hey, what are my top 5 videos every month? And within the top 5, every month for the past 2 years was this video 2 years ago I did of this particular client's home, which we just walked through a couple days before closing. And it was been within the top 5 almost every month. And I was like, wow, I need to do it. People want to see that. People, from, again, my whole thing is from the comfort of your own home, 4 to 5 hours away, you should be able to gauge and have some ideas before you even get here. People want to see what other people are building, not just what a model home is. They look beautiful. Of course they're going to look great. So, So I was like, all right, so we need to do this whole, so I started this whole People Just Like You.
Really smart.
I bet that helps with everyone watches HGTV and they have these really big expectations on, I'm going to move into this house. I saw the model, and now all of a sudden, this is what my house is going to look like, when that's not what you were living before. But now you have this, and I think sometimes there's a little disappointment, and I think that would help them seeing no, this is how it actually is. No one's really living in a model that looks like this.
Yeah, so I think it happens two ways. I think one is there's also some level of discouragement if they're thinking about building. Of I'm never going to be able to afford and build the way that a model is, so I just might as well not even try it. So now they get to see people just like you house, and they go, "This is really nice.
Yeah.
Wow, look at all those windows, and look." That's a beautiful countertop. These are what normal people are putting in, and I can probably afford that too. That's within my budget. Oh, they didn't do the professional series kitchen; they did the gourmet kitchen, and it still looks awesome. And so they get to see that. But then also, it humanizes the house versus the marketed model home that is just perfectly done, obviously. So it's neat, and it's funny. I was putting a fence up in my yard, and I got an email last night, and someone's, they emailed me like, "We love all these. Can you do a Mayberry for us?" Because I guess they're interested in a Mayberry, and there's a Mayberry model, and I'm like, sure. So I emailed over the team, and I said, hey, can you let me know if there's someone that's about to close? They want to see like what are some options that people are picking.
I'm sure they have no problem. Like that's a win for them.
Oh, they're like, sure, yeah. I mean,
yeah, like you're trying to bring people in.
they're like, this is great, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, oh, go over a lot, whatever. And there's one over there, and there's one in this community, and whatever. So I'll do that. And I do the driving tours also. I've literally put cameras on the roof of my car and cameras inside and drive through. And I just added a new little feature. I'm actually gonna show you. It's kind of fun. Not to talk about me. This is all about you guys, but I'm hijacking.
Hey, it's a conversation.
I'm hijacking your podcast here.
Yeah, we covered
it's just because I just think it's kind of fun. So I do these driving tours, but I don't want to hear that. So I added. It's up there. It's up there too. Yeah. So I added this little site map on the side.
Nice.
And you can see the car. See how the car's moving.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So as someone's driving through with me and I'm referencing things, they can actually see, oh, that's where he is.
How do you do that?
Oh, you got to be tricky.
You are a tricky man.
So it's in the video software. I just do animation. So as you go through, and it's like, oh, he's talking about the thicket. Oh, that's where he is. So as you go through.
This would be so helpful for someone out of town who's looking.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm right there.
Yeah.
And you can see, oh, and those this home site's available, and they go, oh yeah, that home site's yellow, and that one's red.
So you have a camera on your dash.
Yeah, one that's suction cupped up on the windshield that's looking at me, and then one that's up on the roof looking out as we're driving through.
Oh, that's cool.
And then added the little animated guy kind of driving through the community as we go through. So it's just, that was, I added that.
You already got 730 views in just 10 days.
yeah,
that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing about it is that there's some people that you can get views by advertising and boosting your videos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that because I honestly don't go by views.
Yeah.
Some people go by views because they monetize. I monetize by people finding my information helpful and then buying a house.
Yeah, just organically.
So this is so secondary. So the great thing is that people that are watching these are
actually
true, real people that are interested in it, and it's crazy. I'll be in a model. I just had a client who signed the other day, and we looked at the home site, and they're like, yes, we want to buy. So we go back to the model, and there's this guy in his car, and he waves me over. He's like, oh my gosh, I watch all your videos, the driving tours.
Oh my God.
Who's in the house? He's like, it's so great. He's like, thank you so much. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like,
that's cool feedback to know.
I'm like, you should have called me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna let this go.
Yeah.
The next
I
time.
know. So then we go in, we sign the contract, and I'm leaving the sales office, and someone goes, is that Cory Mayo? And I turn around, they're like, oh my gosh, we lived here for a year. You were 100% while we came down here. It was so helpful, and it happens all the time.
That's cool.
So it's really cool that we found that it's been helpful and everything. So, but
you're just getting started. When did you start posting this type of content?
So my videos really kind of. What year is this? This is 2024.
It is.
So
I was trying to think back to your article if I could remember.
I'm really. So I started in the 2018, 2019 period. Mm-hmm. It was ironic how it happened. I just happened to do with my cell phone a drive-through tour. I remember it was this community Tidewater Landing. I uploaded it to YouTube. Totally forgot about it. And a year later, this guy called me and was like, "Hey, I was watching your video on YouTube," and I'm like, What?
What?
What are you talking about?
Somebody watched it.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, and then someone else called. And so then I just started doing more and more videos. And then it got into like full video production and editing and the whole 9 yards. So, but it's been, so it's been probably 6 years. The hard part is it takes probably a year and a half for Google to really say this is data that is important for people that are searching, that I want to show your video in their search feed. So if you go out there and shoot a video and put it up there, for people that are looking to start and do this, it takes a while. So don't build your business off it at first. Let it organically. Again, you can pay for stuff, but it's not really good traffic. The organic stuff is what matters.
It sounds like from what you've said that, and I wouldn't have even based, your success metric on whether you've actually gotten calls from it, but you actually have. Like, that's like a bonus, because like being seen and it influencing people is just good branding. But the fact that it's actually sounds like it's translated to people saying like, oh, like reaching out to you,
totally,
someone you're not currently connected with, saying, I saw your video.
Yeah.
That's
a lot, and it happens a lot. The problem is for a lot of people is you have to. When I'm not doing this, when I'm not working with clients, I'm spending my time going to models and talking to the people. Be like, hey, what's the current phase where you're at? What's going on with new phases? What are option pricing? How much is that vaulted ceiling? How much is the whatever? So I'm constantly educating myself. I'm going to other builders. I'm going to communities, and that's what we do 24/7. It's you have to be educated. Otherwise, people go, oh, cool video, but the information wasn't valuable.
Right.
So I'm constantly just trying to educate myself. If I'm not the most educated person when it comes to new construction, then what am I? Because I like to tout that I'm the new construction guy, and this is kind of where I'm at. So if I'm just doing what everyone else is doing, then what am I doing?
Yeah,
is kind of my view and take on it. Not that there aren't other people out there that sell new construction. There are, but in my eyes, I like to think that I'm just constantly just being diligent at trying to be as educated as I can for my clients.
Yeah, and providing a lot of value.
So when they're watching this, I'm saying things that matter, not just, and this grass is green and the grass is green on this side too, and that house has a door, so it's, we talk about things that matter. Yeah. And then you add fun little things like an animated car that drives around.
So cool.
At the same time.
Very cool.
So, but again, not to talk about me because this is about you guys.
No, but I think like that is in any market that Real Producers is in. I think that is the coolest thing about it is we get eyes on someone like you doing things like differently. And you had said earlier, like you humanize, what did you say? Like you humanize something, maybe the like buying process or something like that. And I think the community really humanizes agents because when you look at it from an outsider perspective, every stereotype you can think about agents, right?
100%.
Like they come with the fancy cars, but they're not selling anything. And so I think that through this community, you get to see like the real human side of these agents and these individuals who are doing so well, which I think always makes a better collaborative industry.
Sure.
When you know each other. Like it's easier when you're sitting across from each other.
And what their niches are, like how you're narrowly focused on this, and that is awesome because agents who don't really work in this market would be like, oh, I'm going to refer this to Cory Mayo,
Yeah.
And positioning yourself that way.
Anyone that has new construction, refer to me. But no, you're right. But also, I mean, we have new talent that's coming into our industry every day. And some of them fizzle out in a month and some fizzle out in 5 years and others become complete rock stars. So if you're new to the industry, they should be picking this up and say, who are the top 300 people that I should be gravitating to that I can learn from? I get this from this person and this from that person. And whether it's in your brokerage or not, I think that the vast majority of those top agents are open for help. And I can remember when I was new and put in my first offer, I'm like, man, I hope I got it, totally right, and I don't want to look like an idiot. And I remember the first time I made a mistake, and the other agent was like, "Hey, just so you know, you forgot to do whatever, so I added that for you." I was like, "Oh, cool, thank you." And didn't try to like belittle me, make me sound or feel stupid. It was like, I was new too at one point in time, and
You're all in it together.
It really is. And at the end of the day,
we can all win.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, both of our jobs, and our goal is to help get the buyers and sellers to the finish line and be happy. So, if I can help and teach you something along the way so that you become a better agent and that you can then hopefully at some point in time help someone else that's new, I think that's also what's cool about these top people is that they yes, there's egos that happen, and it happens in any industry, not just real estate. But even the people that have egos, in most cases, they're also willing to help. So
we're huge champions and fans of positive competition and collaboration, and that's what we want to see, and that's really what will continue to make the industry successful, especially there's crazy things happening right now, and who knows what's going to happen with NAR. And it's our very, very strong belief that the top 300 in this market or the top 500 in others, those will be the agents and the leaders that lead through this transition time. And so for us, it is, especially being the editor-in-chief, like the joy of my life is seeing how this plays out in the agent's life and when we do these spotlights and everything. And I think I'm so excited to see how this collaboration and competition moves into the next era of real estate. And then to see really these top agents, nothing's going to change. You're just going to be better.
It's so funny. I saw this thing on TikTok as a video, and it was like realtors, top realtors with the whole NAR thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, she's like driving the car, like totally cool. And the other one's like freaking out, grabbing their hair. And it is. I mean, the ones that, I don't want to say have their act together, but this is what they do 24/7. Number one, that is, as a buyer, seller, client, you should be asking your agent, is this what you do 24/7? Not that there aren't part-time agents that are really good, but you want someone that this is their thing. This is their stick, 24/7. But those are the ones that are, we're good. We'll figure out. It's good. Things are changing. It happens in every industry. Every industry, there's changes. Whether it be legal or guidelines or just processes. We're an ever-changing, society. Things are always changing. So it's all good.
Yeah.
We're going to change how we do things. There's going to be an extra piece of paper that buyers sign. Move on.
Yeah.
Let's help you find your dream house and then move on. It's really not that we explain it properly so that way they're educated and they know what they're signing. And then that's it. Now let's get back down to brass tacks and let's find the house that's perfect for you. That's simple. Or we can freak out about it and like, what are we going to do? Because it's really not that big of a deal. Unfortunately, the media has presented this in a way of 6% commissions going away. It's never been a standard 6% ever. It's never been standard 6% to everyone watching. It's always been a negotiable commission. Always. It always has been.
Yeah.
There were some agents that are willing to work for peanuts. There are some people that will sell a house for 10%. And for whatever reason, that buyer seller has decided that was at value to them. Totally fine. So
the news hasn't done a good job on you guys, and
because
just the overall marketing of agents.
And you guys are
I'm like, my goodness. People ask me, so what are you doing now that the 6% commission is going away? I'm like,
you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. I'm assuming you heard.
Still making money.
Yeah. I'm assuming you heard that on the news. No, that's not at all what's happening. And I explained to them. They're like, oh wow, I had no idea that it was just really. It was kind of watered down to like these two main things, these two really main big key items, and it's that simple.
You were so skeptical of everything else, and then when it came to this, it was like, this is the truth. I'm like, do we ever trust the media?
I know.
Why is this the one thing?
Yeah, what sells more? The world is falling apart, and real estate is going to collapse, or it's really not that big of a deal. And they come to I shouldn't say they come to. They're working on getting the final settlement approved.
End up positive, right? Like
homes are still gonna buy and sell. People need to live in homes. Period. I think that, in my personal opinion, I think that this is a really big injustice to buyers. When we look through how the process is going to change, but the good agents are going to figure out how we still protect our buyer clients and make sure that they're educated. Because I think that there's going to be a lot of buyers that are going to go out there and then say, I'm just going to do this by myself. We got Zillow, we got Realtor.com, and then they're just going to get bullied by listing agents because these people do this every day, all day, and the people that are going to do it, can do it by myself, are going to have no idea where's the contract that I even fill out. So us as buyers agents, we need to do a really good job of kind of presenting that to.
This is just my perception of like, so, you know, I always have seen it as like, if you're a listing agent, you're like, people see you as like, like you're the best. And buyers agents have kind of been the newbies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that this will elevate buyers agents games.
Sure.
Like if I'm going to pay for now an agent, I want the best agent that I can absolutely get so that I get the like very best deal. I think
Sure.
that is what, in my perspective, because I would not ever do it without any like an agent or a realtor. Like I would never buy a house. So I
mean, the biggest
it'll be easier.
investment of your life, you're going to sign a document that's guaranteeing you legally are binded to buying this home, and you have no idea what.
No.
I mean, my goodness, to have a buyer's agent walk you just to walk you through that process, and they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I'll hire an attorney to help me do that." That attorney's job is to help you fill out the paperwork, not to negotiate. They don't know the ins and outs
Yeah.
and what did they see under the kitchen sink when they opened up the cabinet?
Yeah.
Right.
No idea, because they weren't there. They're only there to fill out a document. So,
Yeah.
all these memes came out, or all these, TikTok videos of like, what does a realtor bring to the table? And it truly is, some of it's exaggerated a little bit, but I mean, the amount of time, number one, we don't make any money unless we sell a home. So like the amount of work that we're doing for free all day, every day, so that we can be there for our clients, is endless. But the ones that are doing it constantly and never give up, that's the ones that tend to be a little bit more successful on the other side of the stick. So it is what it is, and
the stories that, while our magazine and community is so focused on agents, like you said, this provides an additional layer of research for
Sure.
people to read and to kind of get a gut feeling about someone who they're choosing to make that like biggest deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does your website list the top 300?
So
Or-
it doesn't. So on the website, and you can view any magazine and digitally and see like the standings, which is just kind of the snapshot year to date. But it doesn't have the top 300 listed, which we could have on there. But
And I'm just wondering, from a client standpoint, like, is this potentially a resource of like, hey, let me find one of, is the agent I'm talking to on this list? And not to say that this is a list that they should be going by. It's, I'm not saying that.
right.
But
Just a factor.
It is some level of credibility of, this is not something, again, that they're paying. You are pulling data that is just based upon performance, period. Is it from MLS or where does?
Yeah, it's
so
from MLS.
It is MLS-based data. Purely,
Yeah.
like literally, black and white, or maybe there's a touch of orange because bright MLS is orange.
Right.
So, but it literally just data, and it is, and it's corresponded to a name, and that name now gets published. So it's not based upon who advertises more or who does whatever.
Yeah.
It's purely based upon MLS data. So, I think that is,
Put that on there. We'll have more agents calling us saying the numbers are wrong. I should be number 14, not 18.
yeah,
It happens so much because we run the data through a specific criteria, or the report is.
Yeah.
So I think people sometimes get confused about, well, understandably, they just don't know. They're like, well, my MLS, if I look at my name, it says this, but on the ranked list, it's this. It's like, oh, well, if
Things don't get posted all the time. Also, you're waiting on the listing agent to hit closed, and there's
the biggest thing is if you have an alternate agent listed on a deal, it splits it between the two.
it does totally.
And that's like, so people are adding in the full deal that they get credit for. But if it's in a list format, it's like half and half. So there's all sorts of things. But yeah.
Well, I give you guys
we've
credit
gotten a lot
for
of-
figuring out any type of formula to try to get through all of that data and information, because there is. And then there's teams, and some teams take credit, like the team member takes credit for all of the
Exactly.
sales, and the team members don't get anything, and some split it, and some let them
So it's
keep.
different. It depends
Yeah.
on how they enter it in the MLS, which is hard because it's not apples to apples
Sure,
in that sense.
sure.
But there's no way for us to
But
really.
it is, so yes, it may not be 100%, but if your agent number out of the 1,600 agents, 1,599, you're not like, I should have been 14.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You're probably, maybe you're off by one or two. So, but those top 300, are probably going to be every month maneuvering up and down.
Yeah.
But it's still somewhat of a resource of like, hey, look, this is, is the agent I'm talking to, are they considered, at least by real producers, one of those top 300? Have they ever been? It's something that I think has
It's not a bad idea.
A level of value and credibility. And, for agents, I mean, we should all be looking for ways of differentiating our hard work and, take credit for it,
For sure.
Sometimes people are afraid to toot their own horn. And hey, look, for all the people that have been on the cover or been highlighted, or the vendor partners that are in here, you guys should all be tooting your own horns. You've done something great.
And that's the biggest thing. Everyone always comes with a level of humility. Like, I don't know how to talk about this stuff and not feel braggy. And I'm like, well, that's why we write the article in a third person tone.
Yeah.
So it's not you saying these things, it's we're saying how incredible you are. So please just tell me the good things and we'll figure out how to say it.
Oh my gosh, when I went to the one party and you're like, oh, we have your magazine blown up over there, go take a picture of it. I'm like, oh my God.
I remember that. You're like,
don't make me do that. And I think that's because I think there are a lot of really cool people in our industry. So but I think, to your point you made earlier about coming on, and in a future date and talking about how things have been melting together more, and how, because again, I really commend you guys on having this vision on making our industry more, one, is big. And this is, again, you guys are franchise owners, but this is a publication that is in markets all around the country.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just happen to own two of them, two separate publications, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Just in two different markets. And I think that it's, I commend you guys on taking that investment in not just money, but time and energy to help all of us, agents and
Speaking
everything.
of toot your own horn, Baltimore Real Producers is #1 franchise in the whole country out of 130.
Is it really?
And Coastal.
Wait, I'm sorry. Out of how many?
130.
Okay.
And then Coastal is for 300 markets, because it's like Baltimore #1 out of all the top 500 because it's larger.
Yeah.
Coastal is #3. I mean, we'll be #1 soon.
Yeah, we are.
Because we're just #1 people. But
well,
it hasn't even been a year yet, and we're #3. So
well, you guys, you please, I don't want it to go unnoticed. You guys obviously work your tail off, and it doesn't go unnoticed by me. I'm sure it's not unnoticed by everyone else, especially when you go to these parties. And it's funny, I've seen pictures and videos of like the Baltimore parties, and I've seen pictures and videos of the coastal parties, and you guys adjust accordingly. It's not a copy paste. I mean, they're a different market over there, and they're different people.
It's different.
We're Monument Sotheby's. We are Monument. it was over in the Baltimore region. All great people. We're just two very different markets.
Yeah.
Our parties here are pretty good.
I think they match the vibe
truly
perfectly.
Appreciate it, and thank you guys for everything that you're doing. And I'm sure it's not just from me; it's from all of us here. So
thank you for being a part of it and for being such an advocate. It really does help. It really does.
But please, let's do this again and kind of see how things are, year over year, continuing to, kind of bring to light what you guys are bringing together.
I would love that.
To our industry.
And we appreciate, being invited. This is
cool.
amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Cory.
All right.
This was so fun.
That was great.
I loved that.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Who's in the House. If you still have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse, DE as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text any questions to 302-466-5511. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And in the meantime, keep an eye out for our next episodes. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.